All right. Good evening, everyone. Sorry for the brief delay there. Happy Columbus Day for those who celebrate, or Frank Sinatra Day, or whatever else you want to call it. So that's why I'm doing shows tonight and tomorrow. We'll be doing a short set of stuff from 2008, where I went off with a friend to go to do some the day of SEPTA-fanning, including um, a brief trip out to Holmesburg Junction and back via SEPTA Regional Rail, and then transferring to the Broad Street line at North Philadelphia. Pretty typical thing. Not a huge lot of photos. Should be able to get this done in 2 nights. So anyway, we have a fun. This should be a pretty fun set of pictures. Um, for those people who like technical stuff and signaling. Anyway, so we actually get to cut past all the garbage and begin from this is a probably most likely a Silverliner 4, and we had the so no Silverliner 5s with their pseudo railfan windows, but I was able to get photos through the inner cab door as we went through zoo interlocking. And again, this is before SEPTA got its portion under its own control. So it used to be. Oh man, now I remember what I'd want to show here. Um, I just realized what I'd want to put on this other window. Amtrak and this one. This one. Okay, yeah, here we go. One more. Okay, or one more. Okay, so we're coming out here on the main line. Now this is up until about 2010 or so. You had the main line coming out of Suburban Station, the Center City Tunnel, tracks 1, 2, 3 in a yard. 1, 2, 3 main 1, 2, 3, 4 in a yard lead. So they would go through effectively a complete interlocking or a complete crossover. That's not it. It's this one here. They would undergo pretty much a complete crossover here. So tracks 2 and 3 would go hit the 36th Street Tunnel to go out on the NEC. Tracks 1 and 4 would go out onto the main line, and there are switches enough that you could get between them. And this is all under the control of Zoo Tower, but Zoo is an Amtrak tower, not in this case not controlling any Amtrak movements. This is 100% SEPTA area up there. And there were, after SEPTA closed its towers, there was always issues with miscommunications coming out of Suburban. So if a train was coming out on track, coming out on some track, and it's if a Trenton train ended up on track 4, oftentimes Zoo you might get a misroute. And I have some photos, I think from 2003 or something, where we were misrouted, and we had to go through the back door through the old K ladder. And today I don't think this was a misroute because it was set up, but you will see we did get to use the much vaunted K ladder, and you'll get to see that today. So here we are coming out. We're on the proper track, so we're on main track 3. In theory, we should just get a clear signal here and go straight on to through the 36th Street Tunnel and out on the NEC. But that was not going to be it. So here we are looking at the Zoo Tower's signals here. 30R to the left and 32R to the right, showing an approach. So there's currently a train, an R5, signaled at least through this junction. No. What heck? No. Huh, that's strange. Anyway, get this out of here. Sorry, just need to set this up a little bit first. Okay, there we go. Now, some of these pictures aren't going to be great. So, oh, sorry, that we weren't on track 3. We were, in fact, on track 4, and it just sort of it looks like we're on track 3. I guess there's a curve there. This is located here in Philly. So you come out of Suburban, the 2 main tracks split. There's main track 3 and 4, main track 1 and 2. Today, yes, there's a curve there. So yeah, this is where we were at. Today there's a new signal. You can see it. Actually, I think that's where the old cantilever used to be. Because they did move the signals around a little bit. Anyway, so we're on main 4. And maybe it was a misroute, or there could have just been a congestion or something where they couldn't put us down the normal path. So here we are at the next thing, which is the 25 switch, and then the 28R dwarf over there. Still all pneumatic. When it got switched up, it got turned to electric, unfortunately. All right, this isn't the greatest photo here. But here I have the 25 switch and the 27 switch. Both, again, pneumatic. So here we are coming around. I don't know at what point. So I think that you can see there's new ballast. So I'm betting that this was just an issue with the 36th Street tunnel being maintained that day. This was July 3rd, 2008. Part of the July 4th holiday. Stuff just might not have been running. I mean, they might have been using today to get some maintenance done. So here we are coming up on the 53 switch, which is there. Actually, that's the 53 switch. So there looks like a track got removed. So one end of the switch is the 47, the other one is the 53. Beyond it is going to be the 64R, which guards the K ladder. Before Zoo Tower was built, there were like several different interlockings in here. One of them being called K. And this part of it was known as the K ladder. It's mainly was used for freight, doing some weird stuff. But the remnants and it was basically a whole bunch of double slips, strung across the plant. Just trying to get this going here. There we go. So there's all stuff that's not quite here in the same way. So we have 53 switch plus the 64 given a slow approach. And then the 36th Street connector. That works. PR high signals can only give slow approach. They cannot give slow clear. But it's sort of interesting in that the high signal can give without with the two-headed system that there is one thing reserved for a slow speed signal. That's sort of very unique. The PR position light system has some oddities that are cloaked in the position lightness of them, like having one head that's dark. If the PR system was color lights, it would be easier to notice how weird it is. For example, red over yellow is not restricting, like it is almost everywhere in the rest of the Conrail system. It would use a red over lunar. So here we have the 65 switch reverse, and getting on the 64R is giving us a slow approach. You can tell how mainline how the PR had optimized this route to get mainline trains out of town on that nice straight track there. Not sure where this blue tint sort of came from. My Olympus cameras didn't have the problem of the everything being soft. That came with the Canons I would get. And here we go, going down the K ladder. The first step of it. The 63 switch. So we've now left the SEPTA part of the interlocking. Well, not quite. This is the when SEPTA re-signaled that this part is part of the new SEPTA KAY interlocking, but then this is still part of the PRR's zoo, because Amtrak uses these two tracks there for their keystones. I'll try adjusting the color balance here a little bit. And here we have this beautiful view of the K ladder as it exists today. If you go back to an older PRR diagram, I'm sure I could find one here at some point. That's not what I want. One of these has it. You go back to the old zoo diagrams. You can see how the K ladder stands out. There's there's the 53, there's that 65, and then back in the day it would go through two double slips over the 36th Street connector, two more double slips over the West Philadelphia elevated, and then a junction, and then either you go straight into the yard or you get on the Berry track, and we're going to be doing the Berry tracks right now. Where'd that go? Huh. Oh. Whoops. It's the 54L. Yes. Oh, you can see the new mount for the new signal is already sort of going in place. It's crazy that I got 2 separate trips over the K ladder over the Berry tracks. That's pretty wild. Over, you know, over the years. And again, a beautiful view diverging over the K ladder. Today, this is no longer double slips. This is just a typical. They turned it into a crossover ladder. Nothing special about it anymore. So at some point we go from westbound to eastbound because we cross, you know, I'm not sure what the direction on the Berry. I think we're still going westbound at this point. Once we get on the Berry tracks, then we're going to be going eastbound. Now remember, an interesting thing is that's track 2. That's mainline track 2. So if you want to go from 36th Street to main track 2, you got to go make these double diverging routes here. Otherwise, you're going to go, this goes to track 4 and that goes to track number 1. So here we have the 73, 71 D slip. These are proper double slips too, with the movable point frogs and everything. Saw a whole bunch of them today out at Hoboken, and JT was doing its open house out there. Sorry, one second. There we go. So now this is, again, that's main 2. And we're going to be going straight onto the Berry track. Or there's a pair of them. Where'd that go? There it is. So this is the I believe this is the 91 switch or 93. 91 switch. So this diagram here that I'm showing you from 1992 still has the freight line. They would go, the Berry track were basically came onto the West Philadelphia elevated, and also had this connector for freight to go out on the Harrisburg line. But this has all been segregated now. So we have this 91 switch, and then the 109, and then that's pretty much it. So that's the freight line over there. At some point I did a whole like thing with this. I redid it for today's stuff, but I don't think I have it. Or maybe I do. Oh, I do. There you go. So here it is today. We've got the 91 switch there. This is what you're seeing here. We've gone over the decay ladder. 91 switches this. Then we're going to see this 95 switch, which splits the number 1 and 3 Berry. That's the Harrisburg line, and everything in red has been transferred over to C-Tech. And today, this over here is all SEPTA. So Zoo has been losing a lot of its mojo over the years. I highly doubt that it's a two-person operation anymore. And a lot of the switches are getting converted to electric, unfortunately. I've been trying to get as many photos as I can over the last bunch of years. So at this point, I'm going to switch from eastbound to westbound, because that's westbound, but on the Barry, I think we're going eastbound now. So I love this old remnant with these double A5s here on whatever switch this is. The 95. Again, 95 is right there. Back in the day, back in the day, the 95 was just a crossover. I think this would have been the 109. Oh, for whatever reason, again, I think that they thought when they pulled out the 95, they had an extra point machine, so they put it on, assuming that it was going to be more important. So previously, trains going this route, Barry track was Rule 251, although it was within interlocking limits. I mean, it was single directionally signaled. And when I went out here before on the in that other miss route, we went on number 2 Barry, which is this one here. Notice it's all rusty now. And what when I went out on this before, my Amtrak friend was actually surprised I went out on that, because he was like, "Oh, that's been slated for being taken out of service." And he was pretty sure that I was probably on one of the last passenger movements to go over it. That was in 2005-ish. 3 years later, you can see that there's nothing on it. So this is like a normal movement, but we're technically starting to wrong rail here. So again, we had a slow approach. We went across the 65 switch, which was slow. Crossed the K ladder, slow speed. We have not encountered another signal since that. Since this 4064R, we've gone past that signal in reverse, all the way down this ladder. Sorry, all the way down this ladder. Still no new signals, and now we're hitting this 108R. And here we have the 108R. So the 109 is normal, is reverse. Normal is still into the yard. It looks like they removed the 113 switch. So I'm guessing this is the 112L out there. But anyway, here we have a 108 switch. The Barry track is nice and clearly used. But the old number 2 Barry, number 3 Barry is clearly used, but the old number 2 is not. There we go. Oops. What the heck's going on here? Where's that? I'm missing one. Some stuff might have gotten moved around a little bit. There it is. Huh. Sorry about that. Just checking a couple things. There we go. And that's our first round complete. One second. All right, let's see if anybody has any questions. Oh, hey, we got some people here. I was also at the I was also at the thing there. You probably saw me and didn't know it. Unless you're the guy that did know me. Interesting. I can see that. Let's see. Hold on. Okay, so they basically removed the 129 switch. Oh yeah, this is the new 2022 version of it. Where is it? Yeah, I can see that that 129 switch was kind of awkward. With that weird crossover, they had to go in and out like every damn time. Oh, sorry, 4 would do that. Yeah, I can see. Yeah, I bet that number. I can see that 129 switch not getting used that much. Unless I mean, it's I can. It does remove a little bit of redundancy in case something's happening on, unless you want to pass something on number 4, which is unfortunate. But I bet they just reviewed their logs and realized that, like, hey, we never do anything. We never make that move. So, again, an unfortunate capacity reduction. Huh. That's not right. I gotta do that again. Some stuff got knocked out of order there. Okie doke, there we go. Yeah, when I did this the first time, a bunch of these images are all out of order, so I just got to make sure I find them. All right, here we have the these look like ABS signals, but they are not. We've got the 108L and the 104L, and then the 114R. So here we have the 2022, where number 2 Barry is gone. But in the 2026 version, that 108, that 104 are still there. That 108 again only had or only could do stop or restricting. Is that restricting, or is that slow approach? Oh, that's actually slow approach. Unfortunately, I kind of got this thing squeezed a little bit. You can also see they still have the old some of the old transformers in the whatever there. Okie doke. The substation. Those have also been removed over the years. A lot of them went. So remember, even though this is 2008, it's still right. We're on the cusp of the financial crisis, and I know that Amtrak got some money to do a wholesale substation repair or the transformer upgrade during the stimulus of the '08 period. Here you have Zoo plus the Berry tracks. Again, you can see number 2 Berry is quite rusty. It's likely, it has not been used since, again, quite possibly the train I was on. I'm sure it was used for maintenance away or something. You know, they probably ran something on it. But my friend who was working the towers at this time, Overbrook and even Zoo, he was working Zoo in '06. He was pretty sure that like that was it. That was the it for that track. Trying to figure out what to do here. That clarify filter didn't help much. Oops. That's better. Now, Zoo, fortunately, has gotten its crappy replaced. It has gotten a surprising window makeover in the last sometime in the last decade. So it looks. I'm pretty. It's unlikely that it's going to suddenly get set up for demolition. They wouldn't have done a sizable window job on it. Who knows what's going to happen with the tower? I have a somewhat sneaking suspicion that they could set that up for historic preservation. It's right next to a parking lot. Yeah, there's an intervening track, but it's the NY Pittsburgh subway that nothing uses. So all they would have to do is put a little grade crossing-y thing there. The roof's in good condition. And then here we have our. Now we're finally getting back into CTEC territory. This was controlled by Zoo up until about 1999, when they dumped off the NEC portions to CTEC. That used to involve the Zoo used to be a 3-person job. It had a train director, a leverman, and what they called the assistant to the train director. And his job was just to work NEC. Like the train director didn't managed him for the Harrisburg line stuff, but the one guy would just manage NEC traffic and probably report to the CTEC dispatchers directly up through the 90s. I think somewhere I saw on YouTube a video from inside Zoo Tower around that period of time. Huh, I'll have to go find that. Anyway, this is Girard interlocking. This, again, they didn't split just one interlocking off a zoo. They split two, Girard and Mantua. And this is Girard is on the west side of the Schuylkill, and Mantua is, generally on the east. And this is Girard's 3E signal displaying slow clear. So I'm gone from the Zoo Tower lever designations to the CTEC standard. So like here's the 32 switch. Wait, is that the right one? No, it is not. I knew that something was different there. I don't know why some of these are mixed up this way. There it is. So this is the... Okay, I have this listed as the old 177 switch. Public say I have no idea what switch this is. Let's see if it's in my magic handbook here. Here we go. Girard 3E. Number 2 berry, number 3 berry. This is the 33 switch. Reverse. The opposite direction goes down the New York's the NY Pittsburgh subway. That's why I couldn't tell what it was. Like, usually on this system, the Amtrak Metro North switch numbering system, the numbers on the switch number involve which tracks are involved. So 32 is tracks 2 and 3. So how do you have a system when like you have like weird tracks? You know, typically you have stuff that's like 5 or 9, 8. Like a track 0 is 5 or stuff like, or track A is who knows. But in this case it's 30. You know, the New York Pittsburgh subway is designated as track 3 for whatever reason. And in this case, you can have a switch that intersects with itself. And there are other examples on the Southern NEC where I know that tracks change, the numbering changes within an interlocking, and you have things like track 33 or track 44 where a track joins with itself. What's going on here? No, I need less blue. There it goes. So this is the if you have parallel crossovers in the Amtrak switch numbering system, you'll get things like W's and E's with like the 32 switch and then the 32W, which is like another 32 but more west. So this is the W32 switch. I will typically reverse the nomenclature. I know that's not technically correct. But if I give switches a leading letter, it screws it up in the in how the file order works. And the other one that you see off to the right, that's the 27 switch. Nope, sorry, the 72 switch. 72 switch is where the 2 suburban track comes in. So to show you what's going on here, I haven't done the overhead nearly enough. So there's the 36th Street tunnel. There's the Berry track. There's the removed one. It's all graded there. There's yard tracks, the substation, Zoo Tower. 32 switch is gone. Wait, what? Sorry. What did I have as 33? Wait, hold on. Why did I see it? Where's the 32 switch? No, 3E. Okay. 33 switch with the subway. The 72 switch that I just showed you a picture of. See, this guy sort of went... I'm trying to figure out how this went there. It would have... Yeah, it would have snuck in. They sort of wedged them together. So I think that they realigned it so that this was closer. So the 3 Berry would come in there, the 72 switch would be right there, and then there's your W33. But yeah, they realigned the heck out of this stuff. So yeah, that got moved. There we go. I have this as 32, but it's the 32W. It's nice that I captured this before it was realigned. All right, now this is not the Pittsburgh subway switch. We passed that already. This is the switch to what used to be old yard tracks. Today it's, again, maintenance of way dump tracks that just sort of stop right over there. But this is the 93 switch. Yeah, I didn't know it back at this time. So it's the 93 switch paired with the... that's going to be the 93 paired with the 3AW signal. Hold on. Not entirely sure on that one. Huh. Oh, see, you can see the barricade. That's why we had to go this weirdo route. The main 2 suburban is barricaded. They're fixing it up. So, let's see. That's the 2BW. So, again, this is Girard. And then when you have a B, that means like track 2. That's the 3rd signal that you're going to face on track number 2. They actually have numbered Girard and Mantua interlocking concurrently. So when you, instead of having Girard getting a fresh set of downs, when you come into Mantua, you get the 2W. Then when you enter Girard, it's the 2AW. And then when you hit this next switch for the suburban track, that's the 2BW. So that's the 2BW signal up there on the signal bridge. And then 2 suburban track is barricaded, and that's why we are on this route through the hinterlands. Okay. So this is the 93 switch. I think... the 2BW Next. All right. This is the track that goes down to 30th Street for Amtrak trains. This is now we're on what turns into 2 suburban, and then over here, this is where you have to that one little portion where you have Amtrak and SEPTA still have to do a little jiggle. On the for inbound trains, they made a poor man's high speed turnout. For outbound trains, they still have to do a little bit of a jig, but they can delay it to North Philadelphia. So number 1 river track is the one on the outside. That's coming from 30th Street. That's the one all the way over there. The inner track is number 2 suburban. That's here. So SEPTA to get out to the outside will typically cross over, and Amtrak to get to the inside will cross over there. But if there's ever a conflict, they can delay it down to North Philadelphia, or they can there's a second switch over in the Mantua section as well. So they do have options. So for tracks 3 and 4, this is the westbound signal for Girard, and that right there is the eastbound signal for Mantua. That's the 4AE signal. All right, we are good to go. Next. I've always found these sort of catenary masts. I don't know what the heck they did with those, but that looks like a definite clues job. So the bridge, the bit right here, I'm pretty sure is, let's see. At some point we go over Girard Avenue. Yeah, this whole bit with the things, that's where you're crossing Girard Avenue. That's where the Route 15 is. So this is these crossovers are part of Girard interlocking. There's a lot of space on the Schuylkill River Bridge that's sort of not used. This whole little thing here is the 40. This little switch, this crossover that goes on this garden path, that's the 43. Track 4 to 3. There we go. And we can see we've got a medium clear on the 3AE signal at Mantua there. So again, Mantua is sort of extended here on track 4, but for us, it starts right there. that works. And here we are getting close. So like I said, this all used to be part of Zoo until about 1999. Sorry I haven't looked at the chat. I'll get to your questions very shortly, if you have any. If you don't, that's fine. And, you know, we're crossing all the way over. I want to make sure that I didn't, like, oh yeah, I think we're fine. I love we have the surviving unbacked lower head. Those are increasingly rare. The PRR's whole point was that you didn't need backings on the two cross ones because the train would be going slow enough that they wouldn't need it. Today, that's really been replaced by the full lower backings, but this is an original PRR style backing. Probably because this was a Zoo for so long, and they didn't tend to touch. Since they knew they were going to replace the towers, they didn't tend to touch them piecemeal like this. So most times, again, SEPTA trains don't get this medium clear thing here. They would have already crossed over or will have about to be crossed over on one of these two tracks. Oh yeah, I mean, there's what's really interesting was how long the whole Philly region was all tied up in that's okay. Conrail took over in 76, and as late as 92 you still had all sorts of heritage of alignment. So Conrail, if you're trying to get from like Pavonia Yard out somewhere else, you would be on Conrail. Then you would enter Amtrak territory. Then you would enter SEPTA territory. So even in up to the 90s, you still had all these legacy signaling arrangements. Amtrak's towers, SEPTA being controlled. You know, SEPTA, the old Wind and Wayne Tower. Everything was all Nice Tower on the belt line. All these things are all over the place, and you would be, you know, all the signaling was original. You'd be going, you know, Conrail property, Amtrak property, SEPTA property, back to Conrail property, back to Amtrak property. And it was really in the 90s that Conrail, that someone put their foot down and they got everything detangled. I think part of that was just the deindustrialization. You didn't need to have so much, you know, there's not as much freight traffic coming out of Philly as there probably was in the 90s. All the carload customers have been decimated over the years. All right. Oh, hey, we're almost getting to Holmesburg Junction here. I don't know if someone told us to sit down or what, but all right. So here we are coming in. This is the 32 switch. So there was a 32W. This is 32. And there's one more, if you look all the way the heck down there, that's going to be your 32E. So they do have a degree of capacity in this area. If we go back to the 1992 configuration, it's pretty much the same. And this was done under Zoo too. The Amtrak put that poor man's high-speed turnout in during the Zoo era. I don't know. I really wish I could hit that. I don't know why that did that thing before. Okay, here we go. I really want to check the original Zoo tower diagram real fast. Here we go. So yeah, coming across this, you did used to have, there was 5 tracks, not 4. So they're the 2 Barry tracks. There's a double slip. See, yeah, that yard track was way more important than it used to be because of the freight traffic. Pittsburgh subway was a single track. And then we had this double slip. So you had the 2 over here, the river line on the outside, suburban tracks in the middle, and then like almost just like an individual freight track going straight down the way there. And all of this was on top of the bridge. Anyway, here we have the 32 switch reverse. I don't know why that. Again, my Olympus had great color rendering. My Canons always have the weird blue tint to them. But I think there was something up with the window today. Let's clip a little on the end there. And now we have Mantua's main thing. So because they have E's and W's in the main switch names, the way you differentiate which end of the turnout is with A or B. I don't necessarily have that on here. They are consistent over the entire line, though. On main line, Washington to Philly, the A switches are on the south. But I think I might just generically label this and be done with it. That's not what I wanted. That's the one. And then there's the that's the 43 switch right there. Oof. Yeah, this is a little dirty. I really don't like using that clarify filter because it just washes everything out. Oops. There we go. Next one. Oh, we got one more crossover to make. this is the... So I have that labeled as the 21 switch, which is accurate, but it's actually the E21 switch. Or 21E. So here's that poor man's high-speed turnout. And that switch there is actually track 4 to track 4. So that's the 44. And then that's the 34. So it's that weird situation where... I don't know why that first one isn't 43. But, whatever. They made it 44. I wish I could see what the thing is on that. I'll go and if I find it in Holmes, I'll go back and retrofit it or rename it. Here we go. Why are these all out of order? There it is. Okie doke. Sorry about all that. Okay, finally we make it to Holmesburg Junction. We were in. Note that none of that stupid non-R. Hey, we're gonna rename the lines back to whatever. I was on an honest to God SEPTA R7 there with the legit markings. Fortunately, washed out the photo a little bit. But and here we have Holmes Tower. It's in use as a SEPTA sales office and waiting room occasionally. I don't know the hours. SEPTA really doesn't like people living in their stations. They tend to only have them open in the morning. Fun fact, this is right directly adjacent to Four Seasons Total Landscaping, if you remember that from a few years ago. It's not, when I say it's like the interlocking's like most of a mile long, and then that's like right nearby. And then here's the new, quote-unquote, Holmes Tower. This part of the NEC was... Well, I said that Zoo was sort of closed in the around 99, but a lot of the other bits of the NEC here met their end in were re-signaled in the mid-90s at various times. kind of hard to see what these are displaying. Holmes to this day, it's still waiting for, at some point Holmes is going to get rebuilt with all new switches. It's one of the last 4-track crossovers. It probably is the last 4-track full crossover with pneumatic switches. Grundy got turned into electrics recently. I don't know anything else that exists. It's just, Point isn't a full crossover, or River, whatever the one down in Baltimore is. This is the last 4-track, unless you count subways, of which there are several. So this is the westbound. So SEPTA just left us off on the outbound side. Yeah, so these are not LED'd, and Holmes has been, every time I've gone there, the signals are ridiculously dim if you're right on in the platform area. So this is going to be tracks 1 and 2. So this is the 1W and the 2W. I'm worried that I'm going to be trotting over because I've gotten more recent photos of these on multiple occasions. I've gone out here on Thanksgivings. It's a fun place. Here we have the East Air Plant. There's your compressors in there, air reservoir, air dryer. Don't know how those exactly work. It's some sort of like there's something in there. It's not a single-use desiccant. There's like rock. I don't know how it works. I don't think it's not really a thing you have to cut out, because like that's not replaceable. But somehow it gets the water out of the line, which is a major issue with these pneumatic systems. Of they just love locking out. Icing up. Previously, this is what these air plants used to live in the towers, and then when in the first round of resignaling, for here and Conrail, they got replaced by these little automated air compressor units. It used to be more, if for large interlockings there would be at least 2. And now today, of course, everything is electric. So this will tell me what the A's and B's are if I can see it. Oh, I can't. So this is the 21 switch. These are all doubled up. These are limited speed. Again, I'm pretty sure that this was... So if you go to this 1992 diagram that I have somewhere, like A3, this is... Holmes is there as a manned task. So Holmes is... Holmes is still operational in 1992. See, 16L, 18L, etc., etc. In some point in 94 was a big year for stuff like Fair Tower, a bunch of towers closed, especially in the near New York, going up. What is it? Penn Station got resignaled in 94. Yeah, see, now that blue cast is gone because I'm outside and not going through the window. Holmes, you can see how long of an interlocking Holmes is. It's really hard to get to the other end. And here we have the airline. There's actually, I think there's an airline on both sides, too. It's pretty crazy. And the CP valve unit, that's the air controller right there, that little tub. All right. First, I need to see where I need to cut this. Don't need that. 1, 25, 6, and 7. And then what else do we got? Everything down to 36. Or I guess 37. I can start deleting these. There we go. All right, last set. Let's see if anybody has any questions here. Oh, we got some questions. I used to know that the Bustleton branch. I don't know if you. I don't even know if it's I don't even know if it's daily. Again, that line has been seeing significant erosion of its customer base. I remember my tower friend. They had a runaway get loose there, go down the Bustleton branch, and there was one of two outcomes. So there used to be like a siding switch. And something, so if you look on the diagram, yeah, see how that number 5 track? Well, something, they had the freight come off the Bustleton branch, and they left that 45 switch reverse. And then a freight car got loose and then ran down the NEC. So now there's a special instruction that 25 switch is never to be left in the reverse position. It effectively functions as a derail. There was a bunch of runaway cars in like the 2000s that no one really got wind of. There was one at Fraser, one at Overbrook Maintenance Facility. There was a Market Frankfurt train ran away, and then this one happened too. I'm going up the Bustleton branch here to see like what the heck is going on up there. If someone knows who switches this, let me know. But I am not. I mean, yeah, okay, I see a bunch. That looks like stored cars. Yeah, those cars are stored. Because I'm seeing not a lot of actual customers. I mean, I'm seeing a lot of stuff going in and around the airport. I'm seeing things, but it looks just like stored cars. I don't see. I didn't see a single industrial customer up in that freight yard. So it used to, it used to run occasionally. Huh, I wonder where the 66 goes across it, if it does at all. I think Tacony is the last station in the city. Or Torresdale is, that's right. Yeah, there's the 66 loop. I don't remember crossing the Bustleton branch. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Where the hell do we cross it? Oh, wow, there's a bridge there. That's why I didn't see it. Interesting. But yeah, I don't see any active freight customers. I mean, it could be that they don't see their cars in their sidings. You know. Now, if Andy Muller was in charge, they'd all be using freight rail. But I just see stored cars. Anyway. Oh, another one. Oh, maybe I just cut the... Oh, there it is. Oops. That's not the one I needed. This will be the last set, by the way, for the day. Hmm. Hmm. Sorry, I'm just checking a couple things here. What the heck? Uh-oh, I might have missed one. Wait, sorry. Oh, I did miss one. Oops. Alright, here we go. So again, when they NECIP'd this, it went from 3 westbound signals to 4. Although the tracks in this area are not all Rule 261. The local tracks are Rule 251. The center tracks are 261. But for this interlocking, they gave high signals on all of the locations. It's how these dwarfs got replaced. Ugh. Okay, crashed it. So you can do research. You can do your own research on the what's up with the Bustleton branch, but it does not look promising right now. I love all the insulators they have here. And interlockings, the signal bridges are also the anchors for the overhead catenary. Back in the day, so a lot of the issues you get with people are always like, oh, Amtrak, the catenaries, the dynamic tension catenary. The real issue is that back in the day, they would send out crews twice a year to retension it. So you'd have summer tension and winter tension, and now they don't do that, so it can get a little limp. All right, here we have the full signal bridge. Looking pretty nice. Yeah, I've been out here a bunch of times, but I might need to go out again at some point. Get some better, a little bit more bolder photos. So here I have the shelter. Yeah, these are the famous. I think these are 50s era passenger shelters. There's a surprising number of these still in use. It wasn't even just the inner city ones. Like Eddington famously has one of these guys. Cool. And we've now crossed over we've gone under the road, come back up on the other side. Now here we're at Holmesburg Junction, or the Holmes Tower. The station building is in the part closest here. If you go on Wikipedia on the interlocking, on the interlocking tower page or interlocking machine or something, there's a picture from inside Holmes there. Here you have your Bustleton branch. What bridge is that? That's over RHAWN Street, Ron Street. Here we have the eastbound rear angle on the tower. The Bustleton branch cuts through the lot. I know that there have been occasions where a wayward car has blocked passage of the freight train. Just gotta line this up right. There's still a radio base in the tower, or there's the antenna and the transmitter for it. Could just be left over for when there was an operator inside. The blue Amtrak's little tower things are even still on it. I thought I did this photo already. Oh, no, I did the opposite one. Okay. No, not that one. I always forget. Yes, this is the proper angle. The other one's the opposite angle. There we go, brighten those guys right up. I've come back here on less backlit days. There we go. And this is the 3W and 4W switches. I'm sure that's the thing, is like, I'm sure these are usually fleeted. Like, that's probably both clear, but you just can't see it at this angle. All right, 3 left. All right, here's your famous 5W switch in the 45. So again, this switch has been sort of left as a derail, but it used to continue on. You can see there's industrial stuff. It's, you know, the removal of extra industrial sidings that started in the 90s has continued on to this day. That's the 5W and the 45 switch. Wish it would tell me which one it was, A or B. I'm sure if someone went down to Holmes, you could look at the rust level on the rails to see what's going on there. All right, here we have all the signals, both the signal bridge and the dwarf. And finally, we have the airline. So right there at the end, I'm going to zoom in here in just a second. This is the last photo of the day. But right here is where you would have had an engine tap. Engine taps, I mentioned these before, are where if the compressor failed, you could hook up to a locomotive to pump up the pneumatic stuff. And you could literally put a locomotive air hose onto it. I said I only ever encountered one in Pittsburgh, but I'm betting that's where they would be. And if you go to the PR diagrams, you'll see one. I hope so. They used to tell you where they were. Oh, there's an engine tap right there. And there would have been one at this side. So I guess there wasn't one up there. But anyway, I tried. Oops. Done. All right. Let's see what's going on in the chat, and then I got to get out of here. Yep. All right. Thank you. Thank you all for watching. Tomorrow we will have another fun set of photos. It's always in weird orders. More Holmes stuff. Switch machines, signal stuff, Silverliner 2s. Going to be a fun day. So tune in tomorrow if you're free. Have a great Italian American Appreciation Day. And I will see you later. Thank you so much.